Hey guys, it's so good to see you again for the fourth time in 24 hours. It's me, Cynicalex, and this is the fifth and probably final sneak peek before the Endgame update lands. The next sneak peek would probably just be the key art, but we may have already seen the key art, and then of course the patch notes, which I cannot wait to see all of the details of. But this is a very cool little video. It's very kind of detective-esque, Jessica Jones-esque. It's got amazing music, so I strongly encourage you guys to watch it and to listen to it. I'll play it a few times for you now. But it's a bit loud, but it's very cool, and it's very well done. I gotta give them props. Most of the sneak peeks in this update so far were pretty lame, but they did get so much better as the update creeps ever so closer. And this one is kind of the highest caliber of sneak peeks that we are used to. And there's actually quite a few things that there's a couple things that I want to talk about in this video. In this video, because we got to get to that sweet 10-minute mark, baby. So let's take a look at what this says here. The remaining heroes must pull together as we approach the insert the code word to unlock. So I had mentioned it in one of the previous sneak peeks that I really missed those little puzzle sneak peeks where you have to guess what word goes at the end of the URL. So I'm really glad that they brought that back. If we move over quickly to... I almost forgot to talk about the sneak peek in this video. I was about to edit the video, and then I realized that I had taken out my ponytail, but I realized that, or my man bun, whatever you want to call it, but I realized I didn't talk about this. So it's actually pretty interesting. If you slow down the sneak peek, you see Captain America's shield, and you see a little note here, but it doesn't show you what it is, and then it shows you the Avengers Protocol number 4, and you can slow this down and read what it says here. Something about a mammal, rabbit, it's got the joke. Some people are speculating this means we're going to get tier 3 Rocket Raccoon. I kind of doubt it, but it's kind of interesting here because it says note number 3, see channel 616. Now this could obviously be channel 616 in Marvel Future Fight as the super secret CTP rolling channel, but more likely than not it's a nod to the comics because Earth 616 is our continuity, our dimension. So it's kind of a cool little nod to the comics. We've got Thor, we've got Hulk. Oh my god, I have to stop doing that. We have the new Hulk, the Mark Ruffalo Hulk. We've got War Machine here. But then the more interesting part, and the part that I wanted to talk to you guys about, is Tony. Now, Tony in this picture is already wearing his quantum uniform, but it says status unknown. And it's got some redacted stuff about Thanos and his fight. It talks about Pepper. Where's Pepper once again? Need to be Ironman. So there's some interesting stuff here. But more importantly, the most important thing is all the way up at the top, they circled the word rescue. So I don't know if they're trolling us and making us believe that rescue is coming, or if this is just the final hint that she is coming. But it's kind of up in the air now. This is either the best troll that they could have possibly thought up, or it's just hiding something in plain sight, and we are getting Rescue as a new character. So I just thought that was very exciting, and sorry I almost left that out of the video. Would have sucked without it. But now let's go check out the rest of the stuff that I had to say. To the official Netmarble forums, it says a lot of time has passed since the incident. Of course, this would be the snap. After a lot of meetings, preparation, and training, they have made a decision. This kind of mirrors the stuff that we saw in the Endgame teaser trailers. You know, Black Widow and Captain America meeting in kind of like an Alcoholics Anonymous type group, or like a veterans group. And then they had that whole, you know, some people give up, not us thing that literally every 14-year-old on YouTube is copying and pasting into the comment section. Very exciting. And then, of course, the preparation and training, you know, Captain America doing his stuff, you know, pulling the buckle on his shield. Black Widow shooting her gun at the target because, you know, Thanos is going to die from a couple bullets, and so on. Now is the perfect time for a counterattack. Our heroes are preparing for deployment to counter the looming threat. Our heroes are now ready. We are now in the final stage. We will witness how our heroes will move forward together until the end. Join them in battle by looking for a keyword. So you have to copy and paste the URL. It's actually quite funny because if you paste the wrong URL, you get this pretty interesting error message. So I think they created this because enough people were making a mistake and typing in the wrong thing and just getting confused when the page didn't load. So they actually made a page load for any sort of incorrect message. So no matter what, if you misspell the answer or anything, you'll get this error message, which is nice to see this kind of Netmarble agent coming back after so many years of helping us through the original you know, stages of the game way back when. But if you type in, I think it's bit.ly Marvel Future Fight _ Endgame, you will get this sneak peek, which is the thumbnail of the video, and this is a very cool, it looks like group key art. We've got Ant-Man on the far left, we've got Nebula, Iron Man, we've got the first drawing look at Hulk, who looks amazing. His face looks so much more like Mark Ruffalo than ever before. We've got War Machine flying in there. Then we've got Cap, who looks like a combination of, I don't know, Chris Pratt and Lincoln Campbell in the game. And then we've got Rocket up close, front and center for all the furries. And then we've got Black Widow. Very, very good drawing. Some of the best artwork, some of the best kind of hand-drawn artwork we've seen for the game in a long time. Did I say Nebula? Anyways, and these are the quantum suits. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to just briefly discuss for all of these characters, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all these 8 characters, what they would need to basically become more useful characters in Marvel Future Fight. Now, before I get started with all 8 of these characters, I can safely say that all 8 of these characters, they need a new game mode where they can all be useful. That would be the #1 answer for all 8. But if we're just talking about the existing game mode content, there is a couple of things that Netmarble can do for each of these characters to actually make them better, and there's actually quite a bit of variance. Now, for those of you that are wondering, you know, does this mean anything for Tier 3? Like, are all of these characters going to get Tier 3 who don't have them? Because right now, only 3 out of the 5 have their Tier 3. Captain America, Iron Man, and Ant-Man. I highly doubt it. We got tons of uniforms, we got tons of sneak peeks in the original Infinity War update, and Captain America was the only Tier 3, if you guys remember. That update introduced the idea of characters becoming Tier 3. So then, after that, we had sneak peeks for Part 2 of Infinity War, and people were speculating like crazy on who was going to get a Tier 3. A lot of people correctly guessed Iron Man because he's kind of like the yin to Captain America's yang, Civil War, etc. But we didn't expect Spider-Man. But it really could have been any of the characters that got a uniform in Part 2 or even Part 1 of Infinity War. Could have been Doctor Strange. There could have been so many other characters. So I really don't think that there's any bearing on it whatsoever. And Thanos could indeed be the only Tier 3. And to that end, I've pretty much prepared for Tier 3 Thanos if you guys are curious how my build is going, because I originally updated you guys with the first sneak peek on how behind I was on Thanos' Tier 3. I ended up getting all of his gears to 25 except for the last one, his boots. However, as you can see, I have actually completely run out of Titan component packs. So I'm going to have to dip into my wallet. I'm going to have to make some aggressive whale purchases in order to be among the first people in the game to Tier 3 Thanos. I am ready. Otherwise, I think, as long as there's no new material needed to Tier 3 Thanos, because I already have his potential, I've already got his gears almost finished. I'm a little bit short on Cosmic Cube fragments if we're assuming he's going to be more than 1,200, although I should get the final 7 in the next few days if I don't get extraordinarily unlucky. But I do have 10 Universal books, and I got them quite quickly after I Tier 3'd Captain Marvel just a few months ago, so I got lucky there. But we'll have to see just how much he costs, and then that's going to determine how much it's going to cost me. But as far as those 8 characters getting quantum uniforms, what exactly could be done to make them more powerful if they're not already powerful? I don't think any of these characters are in the meta besides Captain America, so really 7 out of the 8 could use anything from good reworks to very drastic kind of Winter Soldier-esque reworks to get better and to become more useful in the existing game modes. But of course, a game mode would be the most amazing thing. A new type of game mode would be the best thing for everyone on the list. But first of all, we have Ant-Man. And Ant-Man really just needs one or the other. And I say that because Netmarble doesn't seem to want to decide for us whether Ant-Man is a PvE character or a PvP character. If he's a PvP character, they just need to give him something that makes him able to kill enemies, because he's able to survive for long enough. He just needs something to be able to kill them. He needs a shorter iframe that does more damage, or he needs ignore iframe. Like if his 4th skill had ignore iframe, he could probably be a PvP threat. Especially if Captain Marvel doesn't have ignore dodge. So that's actually a really interesting point to make, and it makes sense for Ant-Man because he can get so small that he can ignore your iframes. But if they don't want to make him for PvP, if they don't want to build him that way, then they have to decide to give him more damage, especially on maximum size. It does minimum damage despite the title of the skill, so they either have to bump his damage up by like 5,000% in order for him to be reasonably good in PvE, or they need to really take a look at some of his PvP skills and give him a little bit more use so that he can actually do something in PvP. I mean, even Spider-Man is better with the webbing, and it's just kind of annoying. He kind of just dances in limbo forever. Next up, we have Nebula, and we've covered Nebula in a previous video, but she needs everything. She needs the car, the wheels, the steering wheel, the engine, everything. She needs the whole house dumped on her. She needs the Winter Soldier treatment. She needs the War Machine treatment, who's also on this list. She needs the Tier 3 Captain America treatment because he's so much worse at Tier 2. And yeah, whatever she gets probably won't be enough, but hopefully it is enough. In the case of Iron Man, he definitely needs more damage, but he definitely needs it on specific skills. His kind of 1, 2, and 3 are pretty boring skills. 4 is kind of boring as well. He's basically a one-trick pony with Iron Cannon, which is a good skill, but it's just not enough. And he's got a very interesting, auto shield that heals with his uniform effect. I really like this effect, and I think if they enhanced it, if the shield refreshed, 10% every second, so it would actually be very hard to kill him, I think that would be very fun, and it would give him more of a defensive outlook. But again, he just needs more damage, especially on not evasive maneuvers. I haven't Tier 3'd Iron Man, that's a joke. House Party Protocol. He needs a bump on this bad. And we'll have to see. A lot of people speculate that uniforms will not buff or change Tier 3 skills, but I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that they're wrong, and I hope that they do. Hulk, we've also talked about recently, so I won't be too repetitive. I'll just be brief. He needs a ton of damage, and he needs a few more effects on his skills, like all defense down or fracture or more penetration, so that he can actually have more of an impact in game modes, and he can actually be built specifically for PvE or PvP. Vanilla characters that just deal damage aren't good unless they have insane stat boosts like Captain America Tier 3. War Machine, he actually just needs a little bit more survivability. His damage is actually very good. It's not necessarily the best on this list, but it's one of the best on this list, which is surprising. He's got a self-buffing leadership, which is great. He's got passive stun effect, or stun immune, which is great for World Boss Ultimate Proxima. So he's actually very good. He's in a very good place. He just needs a little bit more survivability, a skill with invincibility or immunity or some sort of heal, and he would be very, very good and very fun to play overall. Captain America, kind of like Tony, just needs a rework to Heroic Charge, his Tier 3 skill. That's pretty much all he needs. He's so godly right now still, holding on to the meta and holding his place somewhere. You can definitely make it work with Captain America if you try, because he's just that strong. Rocket, on the other hand, some of his skills are kind of awkward to use. He moves around, like he jumps back and forth a lot with his skills, but I find that he loses targeting. So any of you like hardcore Rocket Raccoon fans out there, I have noticed this when playing him in Shadowland, that it can be kind of frustrating. The range on his skills is very low, so he can get canceled quite easily if the enemy runs just too far away. So I think improving his range, he has a gun, he has enhanced senses from being tested on. He should not miss. He should have a wide enough and a long enough range, almost like Hawkeye, not exactly like Hawkeye, but similar to where enemies are not running away and completely negating his effects. And I also think, Guided Bomb, he's had this mind-throwing skill forever. It's so boring, and it's so bad, and it's clunky, and it's slow. It's just such an awkward animation. If they did that, they should at least have him run around kind of like Gwenpool, where it's an iframe, and he runs around planting bombs on the ground. That would kind of be cooler, and that would be a little bit more creative and fun and funny than just jumping backwards and throwing this gigantic landmine out of your ass that misses 95% of the time, and then when it misses, the landmine just disappears, and the animation looks super awkward. But other than the targeting and that kind of thing, I think he just needs a little bit more damage. He's got enough survivability. Finally, we come to Black Widow, and a lot of people actually, surprisingly, want Black Widow Tier 3. I'm not saying I don't want her Tier 3, but I didn't expect this many people to want Black Widow tier 3. In her case, it's kind of like Ant-Man, and this is kind of the problem that Netmarble has with speed types. They build them half offensively and half defensively, and then we really don't know where to go with them. She's not strong enough to be a huge PvE character, and she's not defensive enough to be a good PvP character. They can definitely change that, though. They can make one of her stun or one of her paralysis skills bypass debuff immunity, so that even if you have Wasp or Dr. Doom or Jean Grey leadership, you'll still get stunned. That would be a really good way to emphasize her kind of, espionage skills and her spy tactics, where she can really get in there and disable you no matter what. You could give her a passive silence. There's a couple of things that they could do. There's quite a few things they could do for her for PvP. They could give her kind of the Spider-Man 2099 / Invisible Woman thing, where she gets hit and she throws out a decoy, and then she can kind of escape. Or just crank up her damage, give her a couple more kind of meta PvE effects, some lingering damage, and then make her better for PvE, Content, World Boss Ultimate, Shadowland, etc. But she's decent now. She just doesn't really have a place, like a solidified spot in one or the other. She kind of just dances around, and she's kind of not good enough to dominate either, but she's good enough to be in both. So let me know what you guys think of those 8 characters. Let me know what you're expecting from the rest of the update in terms of Hawkeye's uniform, in terms of new game modes, etc. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.